Let's bring in Morgan Ortagus. She's former State Department spokesperson to help us understand what happened overnight. Morgan, thanks for being with us this morning. Yeah. What's going on right now between Israel and Iran? While it is described as the largest ever attack on Iran, it's a little bit like two fighters who keep punching each other, but saying, OK, let's leave it there before they go into an all-out fight. They're trying to seemingly hit each other without it escalating into an all-out war. How significant, strategically and militarily, was this hit on Iran?
Well, first of all, I think that we have been in an all-out war. We're still assessing what has happened overnight. I think the key thing to note is that there were not any attacks against Iranian oil infrastructure or the nuclear facility strikes. Those are things that people were talking about for the past month, were judging if Israel would hit them. I thought all along it made sense to go after key IRGC Iranian military targets. But if we step back for a second, remember, this was the second time that Iran had attacked Israel with ballistic missiles and drones and other sophisticated projectiles. It happened in April. Biden then told Netanyahu, whenever the U.S. and the Israel together were able to shoot down those projectiles, Biden told Netanyahu, basically, take a knee, consider it a win, don't punch back. And Israel listened at the time, and they didn't. When it happened almost a month ago, it was so flagrant at that point, Israel had to respond. A big key difference, over almost a month ago, when Iran tried to attack Israel. And again, we were able, with the United States and Israel, able to shoot everything down. When that happened, Iran's intent was to hit civilian infrastructure within Israel. They wanted to harm civilians. The attack, the counterattack that you saw Israel do last night was aimed specifically at Iranian military facilities. It was done early Saturday morning in the Middle East. There was no intent at all to try and harm any civilians. That's a big difference between what Iran's terror proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, do, where their specific aim is to hurt civilians. Big difference between these two attacks.
And Morgan, it happened Saturday night local, but it was Friday night here. We all learned about it, which means Donald Trump heard about it as well. And at his rally in Michigan, he made these comments about Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
So Israel is attacking. We got a war going on, and she's out partying. At least we're working to make America great again. That's what we're doing. Kamala, he's the worst president in the history of our country. She's the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Hey, Morgan, it is staggering how little we know about what a Kamala Harris foreign policy would actually be. I mean, she was a senator, she was a vice president, yet talks almost never about it.
Well, we'd have some key insights. The person that's her key foreign policy advisor, one of the proponents, authors of the JCPOA, which is the failed Iran nuclear deal. So we can anticipate, at least from the advisors that she puts around her, that she'd be very dovish towards Iran. It's important to remember that Biden and Harris have been wrong at almost every turn with Israel over the past year. They told Israel repeatedly, do not go into Rafah. Where did Israel ultimately rescue hostages in Rafah? Where did they ultimately kill Sinwar in Rafah? So Israel, for over a year, have had their hands tied behind their back because the United States, don't forget, just a few weeks ago, we had a massive intelligence leak that probably delayed the strikes that Israel did last night. I mean, it's set such a bad precedent, not only for our relationship with Israel, but for allies around the world. It's why I think not only is there the Israelis, the Ukrainians, before their offensive in Kursk, didn't tell this administration. So you repeatedly see around the world, while the Israelis gave the administration a heads up last night, before the pager and walkie-talkie attacks, and before some of Israel's most significant attacks against Hezbollah, they didn't tell this administration. So key allies feel like they can't coordinate with Biden and Harris because they can't trust them, Pete.
Morgan Ortagus, thank you for getting up early.
Thank you, Morgan.
Giving us your point of view.
Anytime.
As this happened really, so late last night. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.